And welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas on the table near the entrance or online at the city's website. Consent agenda items are routine items which are voted on in one motion and vote. Unfinished or new business items are voted on separately. Councilors will be given the opportunity for questions or comments, followed by citizens who must speak at the podium, identifying themselves. Citizens will be allowed to speak for one time per agenda item for up to 3 minutes. Citizens who do wish to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to do so during the public comment section of the agenda for up to 3 minutes. This evening, we are kicking ourselves off with an executive session. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for consultations with legal counsel, 1 MRS 4056E.
Motion for the executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, folks. To come back from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, let's now continue with the meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Okay. First up, disclosure of conflict of interest. Any counselors have any conflict of interest in any of the votes that they will take this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will slide right into the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Try to keep it brief since we were away for so long. The first item is just a reminder of the 2026-27 budget process, which is right upon us in the coming months. So I included in the agenda packet the dates for the different public workshops where the council will meet with different departments to discuss the budget matters over the next month of April and into early May. The next matter on my list is the city facility updates, particularly this building, 46 Front Street, City Hall Annex. If you're familiar with the terms of the lease for this space, there was a clause in it that allowed the city, if they so wished, through the city council to purchase this at a certain price that was negotiated earlier. And if not, just continue the lease. In discussion with the council, the option to purchase is not being pursued, and I've notified the owner, and we will continue with the terms of the lease, and that's at least for another 2 years, at which point we can reevaluate as needed. And then the last one on my updates, for just a few, is city staff updates. I'm very pleased to announce that we have just promoted someone from within. Sarah Cross, who's with us tonight, was promoted from Executive Support Specialist in the Administrative Office to Assistant City Manager. And this is not a new position. It's one that was already in place on the books, but just not filled for a while. It was called Assistant City Manager at one point, and then Special Assistant to the City Manager. But when Cornell Knight was here temporarily, he wanted to wait until the next incoming manager, which happens to be me, was able to make that decision. But I want to say with full gusto and fervor that Sarah came highly recommended and has proved herself over those years in serving the administrative office and beyond before that with the city for 10 to 11 years, I believe, because there were a lot of different managers over the last 5 or 6 years, and she was there through it all. So I'm pleased to have her as the assistant manager. Thank you, Sarah. And just to follow up on that, a version of her former position, a lower tier level executive assistant in the administrative office to assist both of us, has been posted. So please tell anyone you think would be good for the position if they'd like to apply. We will be reviewing those shortly. That is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to council comments or committee reports. Any members of the council have any committee reports? Council Beal.
The Parks and Recreation Committee had their first meeting. Parks and Recreation Committee had their first meeting, discussed the charge of the committee, basically to evaluate city recreation programs, facilities, and fee structures. Agreed on a meeting conduct and a rough idea of a schedule, working out the details now. And we talked at length about the Purnell Wrigley AYCC MOU. And as a result of that and some follow-on discussions, we have some amendments proposed for the document. And we've yet to come up with an agenda for our next meeting, but that'll be soon. Thank you. I did have another thing.
Please.
Constituent talked to me today and asked if there was any kind of citywide cleanup program that was in place. And as I talked to some of y'all, there are community level, neighborhood level, South End, for example, that gets together and does that. But I told them that I would ask for volunteers to work with me to come up with some kind of a day in April when we can kind of coordinate some kind of cleanup activity. I don't know what this is going to entail or look like, but if anyone's interested in working with me on that, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other councilor updates, comments? Yes.
Just to follow up on that, we have had the solid waste pickup for the last few years. And I just wanted to confirm that's going ahead this year. Yes, it is. Third week in May. Okay. But you're talking about something more specific to individual properties?
Yeah, it just so happens that in March is usually when I get on my bicycle and start riding around, and there's always sections of road. There's things that you see in April that you don't see the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And some of the neighborhoods pick it up. You see the kids out, the green team and stuff like that, but there doesn't seem to be complete coverage across the city. So maybe we can coordinate something that way.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Any other councilor updates? I'll turn it over to the youth council. We have youth council here tonight.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Callan. We've been finishing up our dark skies ordinance. We're hopefully finishing it very soon. We're talking about things we're doing in the future, like,
Visiting the airport.
yeah, and we're gonna talk to Patty soon about
Yeah. Esteemed
something.
guests we have coming
Yeah,
in.
Yeah.
about something I don't remember, but yeah, not very much that we've been doing yet, but hopefully we'll be moving on to something else soon.
Yeah.
No, they did. You guys put together, we finally have a draft ordinance that we're going to push out to some of the department heads to take a look at. Matt, you'll get a copy of this, take a look, see feasibility, things like that. Give us some feedback. I know that we'll engage some counselors to take a look at it as well before there's any formal presentation to the council for consideration. So be on the lookout for that. So awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Public comment. Anyone in the public that has a comment that they would like to make at this time that's not on the agenda this evening? Sir.
Good evening. I am Jeff Erickson. I have been a Kennebec Water District trustee for the last 18 years. As some of you may be aware, there is a vacancy for the Waterville KWD. My friend and former coworker Alex Lolchuk has put his name into the hat, and I am here to speak on his behalf since I will be gone for most of April. He is of a younger generation. He is a very capable technological person that we could desperately use on the Water District. My background was IT. He is IT, and he is way ahead of whatever I did in the day. And we could really use a person like him on the Water District. So when it comes up on your agenda, I would urge that you all vote for him. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Patty, do we have an application in? I know I saw it on the website that we advertised it and things like that, so I don't know where we're at with that.
Yes, we did receive the one application, and we were waiting for the next council meeting to see if there was any others that came in.
Okay, awesome. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Sir?
I know it's just me talking, no questions, no answers, but the lease agreement on this building annually, biannually, what is that amount? I was very curious. I asked the last city council meeting, I think, what the annual revenue was from the solar field situation out at the airport. I haven't got an answer to that yet, but I'm super curious, and I'm also curious as to what that money goes to, where it's allocated to. I can't find it anywhere in the budget as a revenue stream. And I also mentioned about city cleanup, working on certain areas, advertising those areas to be bid to contractors that would be willing to do the cleanup in lieu of advertising. I think that's I don't know what you call it, a negative revenue stream, but no expenses to the city. But contractors could benefit from the advertising part of that. Just things to chew on.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Sir?
Okay. I would just like to,
I'm
and
sorry.
this has to do with
Larry.
the parks.
I know who you are. Can you say who you are?
Oh, yeah, Larry Griffin, Ward 4.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have a question about the configuration of the membership of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Currently, there are 7 members, okay, 3 of whom live out of town, and they pay no property taxes in Waterville. There are 2 others. One's a minister. His church, they don't pay taxes. And there's a young lady that, she lives with her husband and she doesn't own anything. So I don't know how anybody can make a decision when there's no skin in the game for Waterville. It's all out of towners. Mr. Skian is from out of town. I mean, how can you vote on anything like that? Go
So
ahead.
I'd be happy to talk with you after, since I'm your representative.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? Or you like being served for people from away? You got to make the right decision or you'll rue the day.
Larry, I appreciate what you're saying. This is public comment. This isn't public discussion. So we take in what you have to say and we go from there.
Okay.
So I appreciate it, though. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Okay. And Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
Vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion to read by title only.
Motion to read by title only.
Second.
And Patty, again, please, roll call.
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
Vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay. Moving on to old business, Resolution 34, 2026.
Approve the restated memorandum of understanding with Alphon Youth and Community Center for Purnell Wrigley Field.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. All right, here we are. Let me pull this up because I do believe. Do you want to kick us off? With
Sure, I will. So, yeah, so just a little background. In 2016, the city entered into an MOU with the Alphon Youth and Community Center that wanted to develop the field on Matthews Ave and invested the money to create the turf field and make some improvements. And so here we are 10 years later, and we've had lots of wonderful things happen on that field with programming for kids. And we've also had some concerns expressed from residents. And this is an opportunity for us to revisit the MOU. Originally, the proposed MOU was 20 years instead of 10. The rec committee did meet and made several recommendations that have added and changed this MOU substantially. I just would like to say that, there are a lot of different opinions about the field. And it's tricky when we have change in a neighborhood and we're trying to meet various goals, including providing recreation for kids and adults, as well as preserve a neighborhood, the quality of a neighborhood that people have purchased their homes in. So I have heard the concerns of people in my ward. And I agree that we need to make changes about how the field is used. This amended MOU reduces the time frame to 2 years, limits the hours of operation, or specifies what they are, and includes guaranteed rest days. There is also a dispute clause included. And I want to commend Councillor Beal, who's on the rec committee, for starting this conversation already about looking at ways that we can see our recreation as a whole in the city and potentially reduce the impact on this neighborhood by using our other assets and building them up. So that said, I just want to summarize my position as the representative of this ward and say I'm committed to working with AYCC as an essential partner to the city. But I also do want to take seriously the concerns of abutting residents. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you. All right. I think the best way for us to do this, I know we put out a draft. This has been tabled a couple of times now, so I know it went out into the packet.
Want to have Scott walk it?
Yeah, Scott, why don't you walk us through some of the changes that you made that were made as a result of the recreation committee meeting?
What if we read each individual change?
Yeah, that'd be
and
fine.
can we approve or disapprove them and then proceed to the next one?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, we can approve. Yes, you want to make amendment.
I mean, we had an original document. We're amending that, right?
Yes.
So these are the proposed amendments, and there are a lot of them, so maybe we could do them one at a time. I'm looking at Patty to make sure I'm okay.
And I'm looking at you. Okay,
Could I just suggest at a minimum that we read them? Because I think it's important for people who may not have seen them to know what we're voting on. That's just always a challenge when there are amendments to
right.
a proposal.
So if I may, if I understand on item 7,
Yes.
Councilor Beal, would I be reading the entire number 7? Is that how you would like me to do that? Because it's in
There were two
red.
different changes, so just read
Those
the
are the changes that are in red, correct? And purple?
Yes.
So
those are-
would you like me to start with that, number 7?
Sure. That was my understanding, is that's what we have to, we're proposing these changes. We're proposing these changes, so we have to go through each one individually and read them.
Okay. So item number 7, the hours of programming shall be from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. No programming to include team warm-up before a game shall occur prior to 8 a.m. All coaches using this facility must be briefed on the field rules. Would you like to put that amendment on the floor?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that amendment? Seeing none. Anyone from the public want to talk about this amendment? Sir?
I go to these games. My kids go to these games.
Sorry. Where are you? Yeah.
Leo St. Peter.
Thank you.
Thought everybody knew. I go to these games. My kids go to these games. I recognize the neighborhood issues, and I recognize really the only way to like alleviate those things, and then get back to like, what was that thing we paid for? We had like the plan for the city. What's that called?
Comprehensive plan?
Yeah, thank you, Patty. You own it. She is really good. The comprehensive plan. Raise taxes. Oh no, lower taxes. That's what it was. Lower taxes. Get new business. If we had a field like down here, this big empty space, we could direct traffic down there, funnel them through the city, restaurants, shops, all that. Get them out of the neighborhoods.
To keep you on track, we're just talking about this amendment, not just recreation in general.
No, on this amendment.
So the time, we're talking, what do you have to say about the time of use of the field?
It's really hard to like limit sports to like certain times because you have these round robin things, and I go to these things and you don't know when your kid's going to play next because you don't know who's going to win. Yeah. It's real. What are you going to do with you got 60 parents and 80, 100 kids, and they're supposed to play the next play, and well, we're out of this we're out of the time slot. Yeah. How do you do that? Like you have a recreational zone, like down here, or North Street, or develop. What is that place we have over by the golf course? Pine Ridge. We developed that. That we own that, right? I mean. And it's a recreational zone. It's a golf course. I'm just saying, putting it in the middle of in a residential area, it was convenient. It worked, but as it grows, it gets more popular because it has grown and get more popular, has it not, Matt? It's a great spot.
Yeah.
Except people live there. It's like putting a dump in the middle of your city. You put it on the outskirts so people don't complain about the smell. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else with regard to the timing? Yes.
What were the times? Like, what is this? I'm confused. What is the amendment about?
It says the hours of programming at this field will be from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and that no programming, including team warm-ups, should begin before 8 a.m. And then all coaches using the facility must be briefed on the field rules. So essentially, if you have an 8 a.m. start time for a game, a coach may say, "Hey, show up at 7 o'clock. We'll start getting some batting practice and warm up." That would be based on this particular amendment. That would have to start at 8 a.m. versus 7 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. All those in favor of this amendment, number 7?
We need to do a
Oh, sorry. Roll call. Yes. Thank you.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Kriegbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. So want me to move on to the next amendment?
Number 8.
Number 8, one rest day, no formal programming shall occur 1 day per week from July 1 to November 1.
All
Someone
right.
want a motion to put that on the floor?
I'll motion.
Second.
Can I ask what day is being discussed?
There's no stipulation of the date. It's just a day, at least one day.
Who makes that decision?
The AYCC.
Okay.
Any other? Yes, Councilor Harrod.
So it's not something the residents can plan for. It's just going to be random.
Correct.
Would I guess I would ask if the residents could kind of have a say in what day would be best, perhaps? It's all about the compromise.
That's a good point. The challenge is when the AYCC is planning and they're trying to do large venues like tournaments or stuff. It's typically going to occur on the weekends in order to make it happen. And that's where the city gets the most benefit and where the residents get the most problems.
Yeah, and from what I understand, this is from the reason that it's not prior to July 1st is all the youth sport, all of the youth activities. There's just a lot of them, all of our Pee Wee teams and Little League teams that do that. So that's why this starts from July 1st through November 1st. But, yeah, well, just adding that. Do you want to speak to that at all? No? Okay, fair enough. Okay. Any members from the public that want to speak about the rest days?
Maybe Friday to go along with the city.
Do what?
I say maybe Friday, then everybody can stay home.
All right, Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
Vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. Number
Number
9.
9.
The AYCC must notify the city manager and the police chief or his or her designee about any planned programming which may result in an overflow of the parking lot and significant on-street parking. Is there a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion with
So
to this?
what happens, like, so, I mean, are we talking like illegally parked vehicles on Matthews Ave? Like wrong way facing? I mean, I'm trying to understand the enforcement piece of it in regards if it's a lot of traffic on the street.
I have not participated in any activities at this field because my kid played soccer. So, but I read the complaints from some of the neighbors, and there was illegal parking, blocking driveways. I think it's just an opportunity for the to show a presence and see if there is a problem. And you know, my experience with the police department is they're pretty good at using their discretion on dealing with these types of issues. But I think it'd be a good idea to have them aware of what's happening so that they can keep that in their, in the back of their mind, and maybe send us someone around to check on it every now and then. Matt, that street is pretty wide. I don't think there's any. I believe it's legal to park on one side or the other, right?
One side is the ball field side, designated spots.
Yeah.
I think the idea with this one for me is that in the event that there are large-scale planned activities, that we consider a shuttle system from, satellite locations. So that way we know in advance, and we can work with the AYCC on, shuttling people in.
I think that's a great idea because I think that, we need to make sure that there's adequate parking. And so if it looks like there won't be, then but that's not in this amendment here. But you're saying that in the event that this should happen, then
that would be the plan, right?
Yeah.
I think the way that I read this is any planned programming that may result in an overflow of parking. So, for example, opening day, right? Like all of the teams are there. That would be an event that would bring in more than, blue is playing orange, at 9 o'clock, and then, green is going to play yellow at another time. So, you wouldn't see as much overflow there because those teams are in and out for their specific game. But if there's an event or that multiple teams are going to be hanging out that come from away, then the city is then notified of that, and proper action can be taken to make sure that streets look good. So, yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
I believe Councilor DeBrito has her hand up as well.
Councilor DeBrito.
I have a quick question. So
Yes, ma'am.
has AYCC been informed of any of these amendments? Have they seen any of these amendments?
Yes.
Yes, we worked with Patrick Garrett. Was involved in the meeting, and we've sent him copies of the proposed updates.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone with regard want to speak to this in public? Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Well,
Sorry, Councilor Green.
so I'm hearing two different things here. One is that we're asking the police to be notified when there's an potential overflow of the parking lot. But then I think what we should be doing is saying if that situation occurs, then the AYCC would employ a shuttle, which is what I heard Matt say. So I think we should add that language in the MOU.
Well, we want the coordination to occur, but we don't know anything about the thresholds required for shuttles. I don't know how many times they need to do this. There's a lot of on-street parking that's legal. So I don't know if we want to put anything like that in an MOU.
I don't think that we could fairly, without them here committing to that, but
Sure,
right, the idea,
okay.
right, yeah.
But-
Okay, yeah.
I mean, this is the first
But that's a
reading.
new idea that we hadn't heard. I mean, I think it's a good one.
It would be considered, right, that we would know in advance so we could have a plan for it, but without them, yeah, here,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Right.
He's away, yeah.
And just to clarify, this particular one is only about AYCC's agreement to notify the city, myself and the police chief or their designee. Later on, it says what the city will do about potential, enforcement as we are willing and able, given
Yeah.
other requirements. So.
Okay. With that, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. The next item is under the City of Waterville section, item 5. The city and AYCC will review this MOU in 2 years instead of 10 years from the date of execution. Upon acceptable review, AYCC will be given an option to extend an additional 10 years.
So moved.
Second.
And, okay, discussion?
I would just like to say something. This is to the neighbors. It's been, I can only imagine how tough it's been for you. We're in a situation where we've invested in a field and we've got a few more years of usefulness out of it. And it's going to be upon the AYCC and the city to once again try and find a venue that is more suitable. I got to believe that 10 years ago when they went through this, that they probably looked at a lot of different places. And I have no idea how they came up with the location that they ended up using. But now we have a lot more information. We have a lot of feedback from the neighborhood and the city. We're going to try to mitigate some of the hardship now, but and then make a better decision in 2 years when this thing comes up, and perhaps we can find another location. But we will look for another location. I mean, it's a tough one, Do we move this out of the city? because there's always places in Winslow that have property. And that's a possibility, but is that what we really want to do? So we've got a lot of investigation to do before we get to that point. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on number 5? Anyone from the public?
Okay, is the only change that, from 10 years to 2 years, is that the only change we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other particulars that we should know about?
Not,
'Cause it's hard to-
not with regard to the length of the MOU, no. This is only talking about the length of the MOU, and this first was sent to us, I believe it was 20 or 10 years, 20 years.
20 years.
And it came back at 10, and now we're at 2. With the option, yes.
Well, if I talk about that, then I lose, that's part of the 3 minutes, right?
Talk about what?
I'm against
2 years?
2 years.
Okay,
But would that be part of my 3 minutes?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Well, we're talking about each amendment as we go, so if you want to say something about this amendment, then you say something about this amendment, because once it's voted on, it's going to be in the record as a whole, as a whole. We're going to move
Okay,
this whole thing.
when you be ready for my presentation? Not yet, right?
Okay. Okay, yes, I know, all right, I understand what you're saying. Yes, not now. Thank you. Okay. All right, all those sorry, Patty, can I get a roll call on number 5, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay.
Okay, the next
Amendment
item.
number 6, please.
Number
Thank you.
6, if AYCC, the city, or members of the neighborhood feel there is a problem with the operation of the facility, AYCC and city representatives agree to meet to negotiate in good faith a resolution to the problem. If the city and AYCC cannot reach an agreement on resolving the problem, the city will have the final say, and AYCC will follow the direction of the city in implementing the resolution to the problem.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion with regard to this amendment? Counselor?
I think someone.
Yes, you want to speak to this, please?
I think I'm speaking at the right time at what you're talking about. I just have
Sorry, name and...
Mary Ann, sorry,
No, you're fine. And where do you live, Mary Ann?
and I live in Waterville.
Thank you.
And
Hold on.
I don't know. Anyways, I just wonder if this is the right time to bring up the testing that they did for the forever chemicals.
This would not be the time to do that, because we're simply talking about, I guess, well, maybe it would. I don't know.
Kind of sounded
Fair,
like.
yeah. Yeah.
I have another amendment to add to the end of this regarding that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if we're going to talk about it, that's great.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call on number 6, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Grigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
Vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. On to number 7. The city will take reasonable steps to reduce the impact of venue noise on the surrounding neighborhood. This may include adding additional screening vegetation to the perimeter of the property.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion with regard to number 7? Seeing none from the council, any from the public? All right, seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. So the next item is item 8. So being struck out is the city will ensure that adequate parking support and enforcement is available for larger programming events, which result in significant on-street parking. And what is added is, if requested, the city will attempt to provide parking enforcement for larger programming events with the understanding that police support may not always be available due to higher priority situations.
So moved.
Second.
Before we continue, Chief, I see you here. Do you mind? This was a very good point that was brought up with regard to this. Can you just speak to why we made this change with regard to this one? I didn't put you on the spot, but it was a good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all.
Yeah.
So we can't always ensure that we're available to do parking enforcement for any event. And, you know, the example that I used was last year on opening day at Purnell Wrigley. Actually, the mayor and I were both there. And there were multiple parking complaints. Well, during that time, we ended up having a standoff that I went from catching the first pitch to, where we were so shorthanded that I actually ended up having to help with crowd control while we were there on that standoff. So we simply can't clear officers from an armed standoff to go handle a parking complaint. So, you know, we're certainly going to do our best. We're going to get over there if we can and enforce the rules, whatever is set here. But I cannot promise you, depending on call volume, that we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for the chief with regard? Yes.
I have a quick question. So the burden of taking on this cost to provide parking enforcement, say he has to bring on extra officers that day and they're on overtime, like, is this burden on the AYCC and the event, or is that something the city takes on?
The way that I see this written, we wouldn't be bringing on any additional staff. It would be the officers that are on duty that day that would, if it's a quiet day, then great. Then they would be able to, be at on Matthews Ave at the field to, do this, whatever. But there wouldn't be any specifically assigned.
Okay, so what if it's like a shuttling situation where we have to have a shuttle to have people park at the airport and you're shuttling them over? Who's paying for the shuttle? Or is that something we'll have to discuss maybe next week before we?
Yeah, this concerns me as well. I think we can't be asking, parking enforcement falls under the police scope of work, right? But really, it shouldn't be necessary for this MOU.
The only way to ensure that we have people available is to bring somebody in on an outside detail. That's the only way to ensure that, and that wouldn't come out of our budget.
Chief, for other sporting events, like say if the high school's having a sporting event and you have to have like a detail there, how does that?
The high school for football games will hire an outside detail.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
There's nothing in here that obligates the city to pay for any kind of shuttle service or parking enforcement, and I see no reason why the city would have to pay for that at this point in time. That would require a separate negotiation, and we haven't had that.
Well, there's nothing that requires the AYCC to either, though.
Right.
And we've mentioned shuttling, so it should be part of the discussion, right? Like, I guess my concern on this topic is, say they are busy in other areas of the city with priorities, and there are some enforcement issues over there at the event. I'm concerned about how that's going to play out and what's going to happen, especially where the neighbors are concerned. So.
Prior to the next reading, I would like to see AYCC give some feedback on this and some ideas associated with how the shuttling system may work, or if they need to do an outside detail.
I believe this is the final.
No, this is just the first reading.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Oh,
resolution.
it's a resolution.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you. New assistant city manager right there. Boom, keeping us on point.
Yeah, well, I do think we need to resolve this issue because there should be adequate on-street parking for an event that occurs here. Or adequate parking. Yeah.
Are we on any sort of time constraint associated with this?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so as well. I believe that there's pending programming given the spring upon us.
You know, I understand, in this particular instance, there is quite a bit of parking both on the field and on the street. I would also say that at any point during a high school football game on, Western Avenue, I think there are 4 or 5 spots that are in front of the field, and the rest of that is all on-street parking. I think North Street for soccer, that generates a lot of traffic, and I would venture to say that parking would be considered adequate. Just throw that out there.
I guess I just think if we're discussing it, it's obviously a concern. Like, to speak to the football, I hear what you're saying, but football games are once a week.
Yeah.
Usually. I get the soccer piece. I've driven on North Street during that. It's definitely, but we're talking specifically about this. This is the concern, and I think that we need to address it because I feel like it's been an ongoing concern, or we wouldn't be looking at it as one of our items.
If I may add something?
You may, sir.
Okay. If adopted, we have a dispute resolution process, and if it turns out that there's a problem in this area, we have the ability, we sit down with AYCC and we work it out, and the city has the final say in such a situation. And it could be that we end up developing some sort of a shuttle system for very large events. So there is a process built into this agreement to resolve disputes.
So, Bill, are you saying that we could pass this as written, and if it becomes more of an issue for the residents on Matthews Ave, we can revisit the parking issue and then bring it basically back to the table, including representatives from the Alpha on Youth Center, for a compromise and a resolution?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other further discussion or any amendments to this particular item that they want to add at this point, or that's the avenue. If you want to make a change to this, then that's how that would work. If you want to make any verbiage now. Okay. Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito? Yes. Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
Voted 7 in favor and 0 opposed. And I believe that brings us to the end of the amendments.
We actually have one more that we are going to add. Councilor Krigbaum. This will be number 9, Patty.
Yep.
And we'll get you
So-
the verbiage unless you want to write it down.
The verbiage is as follows. The city reserves the right to test the soil for soil contaminants. If testing shows soil contaminants exceed the levels that the MDEP soil remediation guidelines set, the MOU at the option of the city may be canceled.
All right.
I can also get you that.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
You're moving?
Yes, moving this too.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Counselor Krigbaum, can you email that to me? Yes. Thank you.
This is when you want to talk about the soil contamination?
Yeah.
All right. I think it was in July of '23 that the soil testing was done, and they found, I'm not familiar, I'm not a scientist, but they found the forever chemicals, the PFAS and stuff like that. So I just wanted to address that and see what's going to be done about that.
So the city, I think, recently received a report. This was done by a private individual, I believe. And the levels that were detected are well below any threshold for risk to health. And that is an unfortunate, confusing element of all of this. There are PFAS levels that are not considered hazardous, and it's in a lot of the things, a lot of the soil and water and, equipment we use, clothes we wear, unfortunately. So I just want it to be clear that the existing report that was sent to the city, that was done in 2023, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we're just receiving it now, but the levels were not such that they would merit, some sort of remediation. However, this is why we wanted to add this. I mean, obviously we take this seriously, and so we would like to ensure that it is safe.
Yeah.
And do our own test. And if it's a risk, yes, of course, yeah, right.
We don't want the children of Waterville to be negatively affected by this.
Absolutely not. Right.
A bunch of grown-ups can fight and do this and that, but when it comes to it, that's what's important is the kids that are playing out on these fields.
Correct, which is why the specific wording I use for this is soil contaminants. So in case we find something outside of just PFAS or a forever chemical, like say if there's lead or something like that, it's too high, we also have the right in that case to do something about this as well. I wanted to expand this beyond just the PFAS. And as Councilor Green stated, if you take a random soil sample of anywhere in Maine, there's going to be a low level amount of PFAS. It just happens. It's just a pollutant that's ended up in a lot of our environment. And it's usually a very, very small amount, unless it's one of the locations like out in Fairfield and stuff like that have a much higher level. The levels that we saw in the amount given to us in that test were so low that they're considered background Maine levels. So I would not say that there's any outsized kind of pollution going on in that field, but this gives us the right at any point during our MOU to go out there and test that soil and make sure that that continues to be the case. And if there is any sort of chemical leaching or like materials of any sort, we can test that, and we have a way to pursue some sort of getting out of the MOU and solving that problem.
Okay. Can I count on you to be on top of this?
When to get testing, if we feel that we need to do the testing for it, or if somebody in the community notifies us that there's something weird going on or something like that, we'd be happy to pursue that. And we can talk to the city manager and bring it to him, and then we can have somebody go out there and take that test.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. What?
Am I going to get a chance to speak on this MOU?
Yes. Not right now. In a second. We've got one more amendment, then you can speak on the entire thing, because that's what you wanted. You want to talk about the entire thing, so not just one thing. So patience. I appreciate it. Okay. Any further questions, comments with regard to the addition of number 9 with soil testing? Okay. Seeing none. Flavia, welcome. All those in favor?
No, we don't need a roll call anymore because Flavia's in person now, so, yeah. All those in favor? Thank you.
Okay. And now I will entertain a motion to move as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, now,
Do we have to move this as amended or no?
you just did.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, we're good. We no roll call on that one. Okay. Larry,
Yeah.
it's now it's your turn, my friend. 3 minutes. Here we go. I'm going to start it right now. You ready?
Not yet.
All right.
Not yet.
All right.
Let me get prepared here.
Okay.
Go.
All right.
Okay. To put it bluntly, this Purnell Field is in the wrong place. Not only in the wrong place in the city, it's in the wrong town. Because we have a beautiful baseball field out there in Oakland, no problem with parking, okay? The people, we're talking about that we lose $3 million in people eating, drinking, and sleeping. There's no places like that in Oakland. So even if this were moved to Oakland, Waterville is still going to gain the benefit. Okay, here's the deal. This city has no money for this venture. The question remains, why not use the Fenway Field in Oakland? Waterville City Hall, along with help from the Central Maine Growth Council, has not been able to increase the tax base. Reasons for the failure to increase the tax base are as follows. High taxes, low-rated school system, which is partially due to the 25% poverty rate, and a grossly unsuccessful athletic programs. The field is located in a dense residential area which serves to be a major problem for the middle-aged and elder residents. The city is made up of 13.5 square miles. This is not enough to attract major industries to build here, and I can assure you that should the field be shuttered, that would still get the $3 million spent in Waterville. It only stands to reason that these visitors will remain to enjoy our first-class accommodations and premier restaurants. The land upon which the field exists could be utilized by the city to attract tax-paying entities. There are no discernible extraordinary benefits accruing to the city by maintaining Purnell Field. Once again, the poverty rate is 25.4%, and then we want a $500,000 baseball field. It doesn't make any sense at all. Most of the communities which enjoy expensive turf fields are wealthy communities located in the southern part of the state. The demographics of Waterville do not augur well for a sustainable and resilient future. One major difference between a company and a city, if a company can't make any money, they go bankrupt. The city, if they can't raise the income, what they do is raise the taxes. That's what we don't want, and that's what Waterville is slated to do.
10 seconds, Larry.
The beleaguered taxpayers cannot tolerate an increase in taxes. Higher taxes will not endure industries and families to consider moving to Waterville, as I've mentioned many times. Waterville can no longer shoulder the expenses of Purnell Field. I do believe that my dear friend Fran would concur. And there is an alternative field in Waterville called Peters Field, and it would cost less than $1,000 to run that field rather than $7,000 that you're paying to the city of Waterville.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you have more to say? Do you have more to say? Because I'll give you my 3 minutes.
Really? Yeah.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, yeah.
What's wrong with it? Flexibility.
What's that? All right, hold on sorry, no. We can't just pass the time. This isn't like Congress. So no one's succeeding time, so.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you have to say. You're on.
You just restrict debate. That's all you do here.
It's not. There's not.
And you think you've got all the answers. Well, you don't.
I don't. No.
Could I want to address something you said about the cost of the city, the cost that the city is investing in the field. So, I don't know, $7,000 came up.
Well, that's what he mentioned the other day at the meeting where the five out of the 7 people never paid 1 cent of taxes to the city of Waterville. You did say 7,000, correct, Matt?
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that was for the cost. You asked about electricity.
That's right, and then beyond that, we have We have other costs, which we don't know what they're going to be, and with inflation, but it's good that it's only 2 years. If I were king, it would have only been 1. Okay, but anyway, so more I'd like to say, but if I can, okay?
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
You bet. Sir?
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Steven Scraggs. I'm the new CEO of the AYCC.
Welcome.
And was hesitant to come up here because I've only been with the organization a couple weeks. And Abby Vitas, our program director, is here as well. Patrick Garrett, our chief operations officer, and he was the interim CEO, has been running the point on this. So worked with Scott and a lot of the other folks here. But I'm new to this conversation. I'm new to the town. I'm new to Purnell Wrigley, but I've heard a lot about it and I've read even a lot more about it in 2 weeks. But I just wanted to commit to the folks who are here in the audience and certainly to the people on the council. Our team is having robust conversations about this. Our goal is to provide quality recreation to a community that wants recreation. And we want to uplift the quality of life while at the same time not harming anyone in the community. Now that's a kind of a tough place to go. But we're committed to sitting down and having conversations as we have been, as Patrick Garrett has led, and we're going to continue to be involved in those conversations. So it's a 2-year commitment. It's not a 10-year commitment. And we're absolutely committed to working with the city, whatever the results would be, to present whatever the programs are that best provides opportunities for our kids, certainly for the adults, and for people who live here and want a good quality of life. So, with that, I just wanted to introduce myself. Like I said, we're here to be a support mechanism to the city. And we certainly don't want to be on a situation where, it doesn't feel good. We want to be very cooperative. And I can pledge to you as a leader of the organization, and certainly, our board members are absolutely committed to this as well, making sure that we are a good partner and work well with the community. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'd be remiss if I didn't offer you this.
Oh, thank you.
Could I make a statement on that? Thank you for coming up and talking with us. As I mentioned to Patrick, and it's been mentioned earlier, we have a high tax rate. So anything that you can do to perhaps lower the cost for Waterville residents and raise the cost for Winslow and Oakland and Sydney and those type of residents, within reasons, would be appreciated.
Well, I'll tell you, in the places that I've been involved with,
Steve,
we've always had
I'm sorry. We can hear you in the room. They can't hear you on TV, and they're probably like, what's he saying? Yeah, no, you're fine. Sorry.
Honestly, I didn't expect to say.
No, it's all good.
As a matter of fact, Abby told me not to say a word tonight. It was. I'm supposed to listen.
Well, you'll be in trouble tomorrow.
Listen and learn. Yes, absolutely. I've worked with YMCA's. I come from Hawaii most recently, but have worked with YMCA's in the Midwest and certainly public education. And I wanted to make it absolutely clear that partnership with the city and creating opportunities to serve our citizens in a way that gives them a return on investment for the partnership with AYCC, we absolutely agree with that and want to make sure that we're that good partner. And I'll go even a step further. I mean, we're a nonprofit. That doesn't mean we are for bankruptcy, but we're going to try to give every single perk and benefit that we can afford to people in the community. That's our commitment. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you. I know we meet tomorrow formally, so very good. Okay. Ma'am.
My name is Kathy Shive, and I just want to kind of real quickly, listening to everybody, all that's on your guys' plates, trying to do the right thing for the citizens and the kids. You keep looking at parking involving police and everything else, and this field being dealt with not just 8 to 9, it's most days of the year. Looking at the issues, what could solve most of all of this is seriously, quickly looking at a better location that would solve everybody's, the citizens of Waterville, you guys as a council team, the stress of all this for everybody, a better location that would solve everything. And that's all I want to say, looking at ordinances, everything. It would be better, most cost effective, and good for all the people, all the kids. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to be, I would like to address that and be clear that that's on the table. We as Scott previously said, looking for another location is something that we very well might do. But it's a time-consuming process, especially since if we decide to need to purchase land within the city or lease land or something like that in order to put a ball field there, there's negotiations, there's all of that process. And this is very likely a multi-year process to get to that point. It's not something that's going to be able to, we could do in the time that we've had to negotiate this MOU. So we hear the community's desire to find an alternative field. If we decide to go down that route, this is a multi-year conversation to get to that point. But that's not saying that we aren't going to. I would love to see that. I think that would solve a lot of these problems. But that's just a small step in that direction is what we're doing today.
All right. Councilor Green.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're doing today is we're saying, let's reevaluate how we're using this field, and are there other fields where we could have programming so that everything's not concentrated on this one spot. But just to be clear, finding a new location for a turf field is no easy challenge. I mean, I don't think you can rip it up and move it over. I just want to say, I see this as 2 years to have very meaningful discussions about how we're partnering with the AYCC and other recreation partners, and how we're using all the assets that we do have in a way that's smart and good for the people of Waterville.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. With that, all those in favor? Okay. Thank you very much. Any opposed? None? Okay, great. All right. On to item number 2. Ordered 59-2026.
Accept the Project Canopy Community Forestry Assistance Grant for Planning and Education.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, this is the second reading for that. Any questions or concerns with regard to the Project Canopy grant? Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, moving on to Order 60-2026.
Approve sale of city property for Union Place.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion with regard to the second reading of this particular item? Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, and moving on to Ordinance 61-2026.
Amend the zoning map 99 Webb Road.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion with regard to the second reading of this? Seeing none, Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Burdick?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum?
Yes.
Counselor Beal?
Yes.
Counselor Harard?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, moving on to new business, Resolution 64, 2026.
Authorize the renewal of a special amusement permit to Elks Lodge, Waterville, number 905.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion with regard to this? Seeing none, all those in favor? 7-0. All right, moving on to Resolution 65, 2026.
Authorize the issuance of a marijuana manufacturing license to Mainly Genetics.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion with this? Just to be clear, to clarify, we're not adding one. This is a takeover kind of thing. It's in the same spot as.
It's in the same location. I think they're doing a different activity there.
I can explain more.
Sir, yes, thank you.
I'm Luke Duplessis,
Hey, Luke.
owner of Mainly Genetics. I've been in town for 20 years, and we have the Harris Building, the old bakery, and we're doing cultivation there. We have another building out back that it needs some work. It needs a roof and stuff, but it's a solid concrete building. And what we want to do is run water, power, sewer there, so we can do hydrocarbon extraction. So we can keep everything, be able to do everything, make concentrates and grow the cannabis. And we have Flowers Pharmacy, the store down the street. So we're trying to just be able to do everything, because as of recently there's been probably problems with the quality of the concentrates coming back from the labs. Even though we don't use pesticides in it, some people's equipment can be contaminated and they're not doing proper cleanings. So we want to cut out the middleman, and we're paying thousands of dollars in processing fees to get stuff back that doesn't test right. So we're trying to bring it all in one and redo another building out back there, and that's about it.
Any comments or questions for Luke? Who also owns Mainly Brews, a fine establishment here in town.
And it's St. Patrick's Day.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
really busy. We were just there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, great. Thank you for giving us a little update as what's going on. I appreciate that. Okay, with that, all those in favor? All right. Okay, moving on to Resolution 66, 2026.
Request for an abatement, 3 to 5 Park Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, all right. With this, Bill, you had sent an email earlier this evening. I apologize.
I think the city solicitor asked that we read this in its entirety.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to commence with that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville acting as municipal officers as follows. Whereas First Church of Waterville, First Church, has applied for an abatement of real estate taxes assessed on assessor parcel 48-251 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, claiming that it is exempt as part of a house of worship. Whereas the assessor has determined that assessor parcel 48-251 is exempt from taxation under the house of worship exemption in fiscal year 2025-2026 and subsequent years. Whereas while the unoccupied buildings were standing on April 1st, 2024, the property was purchased by First Church in 2023 to be used for church parking and the construction of a handicap ramp and access to First Church. Whereas there is some uncertainty in the law regarding whether assessor parcel 48-251 is exempt from taxation for fiscal year 2024-2025, and whereas the assessed tax on assessor parcel 48-251 is $7,166, and the cost of litigation on this issue is likely at least several times the amount of the tax in question. Wherefore, the real estate tax on assessor parcel 48-251 for fiscal year 2024-2025 is abated in full.
All right. Any discussion from the council? Councilor Harad?
Yeah, I'm opposed to this. I think that this was a valid tax bill. I think making a decision to abate taxes simply based on potential litigation is really just challenges the integrity of our entire tax assessing system in the city. Our assessor, as far as I can tell, has been here a long time and does a fine job. And we would expect anybody in the city to, pay their taxes when something is supposed to be taxed, and that was the case on April 1st of 2024. So yeah, that's, I guess I'm saying that.
Okay, Flavia.
Yeah, also opposing for the same reasons. I feel like the city did follow the process, and I also will be opposing this.
Anyone else? Anyone in the public? Oh, Councilor Green.
Well, I appreciate the comments and am inclined to agree. I also just have to think about the impact on the taxpayer for what is, a small amount of money that we're potentially losing could be much, much more. And in a year when we do not, we're hearing that we want taxes to be lowered, which will most certainly not be occurring. I wouldn't want to add any additional burden to the taxpayers. It's unfortunate that that First Church has placed us in this position, but I'm going to vote yes, and we need to move on.
Any other councilors? Anyone from the public? Please.
Hi, I'm Reverend Maureen Osbrook. You guys all know me. I think I really want to speak to the church. I don't necessarily need to be speaking to you. I think litigation here, and there's always that threat of litigation. Some people are just naturally litigious. The only parties that make money here are the attorneys, and we know that. And everybody comes out looking bad. What I would say to that particular church is I think that they should be more mindful of the fact this $7,000, and I'm not here to argue whether that $7,000 is just or not, but I think what we want to put into the record is that that church deprived this community of a number of important housing units when we were in the middle, and still are in the middle, of extremely severe housing crisis. All right, so that was an economic as far as a human life impact. They're also depriving the city, in perpetuity almost, of tax on those units that they took down. That was taxable property. So from my standpoint, I think it's just really wrong for a church in particular that should have a different kind of moral view of it. Now, legality is one thing. The law is the law, and the law doesn't bake into it a lot of sentiment. It doesn't deal with that. But I think this community has already been torn up enough. And I think this is a very divisive topic. I don't understand the wisdom of pursuing it. $7,000 is actually a small amount of money. When you're taking away from the community possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars over time because you wanted to house cars and not people. So, but who am I to talk? I mean, I'm in a church that put $500,000 into this community in the last 7 years. So you either bring to the community or you take from the community. And that's a choice. That's a choice. That's all I'm going to say.
Rev Mo, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments immensely. I really do. Thank you for saying that. Any other comments? Nancy.
Nancy Sanford, Ward 1. I am very opposed to any abatement for the church. I've paid taxes in Waterville since 1991. I live on May Street, which is low to low middle income neighborhood. I just paid my bit over $1,000 quarterly payment, tax payment. And I actually do not mind paying my taxes, but I do mind that the city might give a pass to an entity that knew darn well when they bought that land and got rid of potential housing and ongoing tax revenue. That the city might give them a pass because of potential litigation. Now, granted, $7,000 as opposed to what it would cost to litigate and defend against the litigation is probably minor. However, in my eyes, it is the principle of the thing. And if the city council chooses to give the First Church a pass, then I think that's an abomination of your duty to the tax-paying citizens of Waterville.
Thank you. Councilor Beal.
I'm going to vote yes on this abatement. And it is not something that I'm happy to do. This is a hard decision. We have learned a lot as a city council from dealing with these folks. And we have changed some of our practices so that this won't happen again. You know, we have options now that when a zoning request comes before the board can make a rational decision as to, the city council can make a rational decision as to whether they consider it or not. We didn't have these capabilities when this came up before. So we have learned and we continue to learn. This is a call we've got to make. We're trying to save the city money in the long run. And that's all I can say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none. Patty, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And all those opposed? 4-3. Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to Resolution 67, 2026.
Authorizing the city manager to sign the remnant defendants opioid settlement participation.
Move to adopt.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Nick, you want to just, tee this up?
Sure. As you may be aware from former years where things like that may have come across your desk for voting on, there's various entities that have reached settlement agreements as part of the opioid settlement process, and there's 6 new entities that have entered into that stage, and the city is just signing off to say that we are willing to receive those funds as a city. It's similar to other settlement agreements that the city is already receiving funds for, but new entities that have reached agreements are now paying into that fund, which the city is one of the recipients of.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Councilor DeBrito.
So I got a question, and how much money is the city looking to get every year or every quarter or whatever?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't know in advance. We only know retrospectively once we receive it. There's no guaranteed payout. We receive every few months payments from these entities, and it does change over time. Some of these agreements decide to pay out a lot at once, and some do trickle in over time. But you know, if the council wishes at the time of budget, they can have line of sight on how those monies are spent for sure.
sorry, just a follow-up question. Do we have like an actual balance of how much that is in there right now?
Yes, and I could give that to you via email as soon as tomorrow.
Wonderful. Any other comments with regard to this? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Moving on to Resolution 68, 2026.
Approve the memorandum of understanding with Delta Ambulance to provide a community paramedicine clinical site.
Move to adopt.
Okay. Chief?
Thank you. Actually, I can speak on the next two if you'd like, because they're the same exact thing. Obviously, we all know that we have a community paramedicine program here in the city of Waterville. The training expectations that are being handed down by Maine EMS means that United and Delta training centers are going to start putting on classes, and this would just allow those folks that are taking those classes to come ride with our community paramedics to get the training experience.
Okay. Any questions with regard to this? Sorry, so the training is held at both at United and at Delta?
Yes, sir. They need clinical hours to get their license.
Yeah.
And we will just provide them to be able to come ride with us, and they'll get clinical hours with our CP providers. We do this with our KVCC for paramedics and advanced. They come to us as riders. Basically, they go in the trucks. They get to do work, and we sign off on them. It's a twofold thing for me. When I took over as chief, one of my big things was to become a learning and training department, because over the course of my career, I've learned more by teaching than I have been by doing, and this allows our CP providers to be that much stronger. It doesn't cost the city anything. We are doing the work anyways, and they're just going with us to do the work with us and getting those clinical hours.
Okay. And with regard to, I don't know what section this is in, I apologize. Responsibility of the training center, looks like number C, number 6C. We already maintain a level of workers' compensation, so these folks would just fall under that. This isn't anything new or an additional cost.
This doesn't cost the city anything.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
It falls in line with our other MOUs that we have with like KVCC to provide clinical hours to paramedics and advanced riders.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Chief with regard to this agreement for Delta or just the totality of the agreement? Because we're going to see this again in a few moments. All right. Seeing none. All those in favor? All right. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Moving on to resolution 69, 2026.
Approve memorandum of understanding with United Training Center to provide a community paramedicine clinical site.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion with regard to this? I believe this is just cross out Delta, add United, and it's
The same exact thing. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, seeing none. Patty, can I get I'm sorry, all those in favor? Sorry. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, Resolution 70, 2026.
Authorize the use of funds from the Police Department capital equipment account to fund for the replacement of the camera security system at the Waterville Police Department.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Right. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening again. So this particular issue, our camera system is the original camera system that was put in with the police department in 2012. It is operating now on unsupported software, and it's showing because we're losing footage. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's a problem for multiple reasons. One of those reasons is that we have sensitive information at the police department that is audited by the FBI Criminal Justice Information System. And in our pre-audit, we failed because of this system. So we have 6 months to correct that. Equally as importantly, every person that comes into the police department under arrest, we have to provide the district attorney's office with discovery. So every time they walk in front of a camera, anywhere in the police department, we have to provide that for discovery. So if we don't have that and we can't provide it, that is a technicality that could rise to the level of reasonable doubt in a criminal case. We have 3 interview rooms that we use on a regular basis to interview folks that have committed major crimes, and this could result in us losing a major crime if when we were interviewing somebody, the camera system stopped recording. And we don't have any warning. The only way we find out that it sporadically stopped recording is when our records clerk goes to pull the recording and it's not there. So that's obviously a huge problem. And then the final problem is the actual site security issue, officer safety, our police vehicles, our equipment. We can't properly monitor that. So we're asking for up to $40,000 to replace that system so that the software is supported, so we can pass our FBI CGIS audit, and we can not lose cases on technicalities.
Very good. Any questions for the chief? Seeing none. All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, moving on to Resolution 71, 2026.
Authorize the appointment of election clerk.
Move to adopt.
Any discussion with this? Patty, you want to talk about what we're doing here?
We're required by state statute to appoint election clerks in even numbered years by April 1st. This is a list of all the current clerks that we have. Anyone else that's interested in helping out with elections is welcome to come forward, and I'd be happy to provide more information to anyone.
All right. Any comments, questions with regard to this? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Wonderful, thank you. Okay, moving on to Order 72, 2026.
Approve sale of city property 15 Sunset Terrace.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, Nick, you want to kick us off?
Sure. As you may be aware, there's been 3 properties in recent months that were tax acquired and followed the process of being sold through the new state law through a representative in the real estate industry and put out for people that want to make an offer. To my knowledge, I believe there was some discussion about this property today, and I'm happy to discuss that if you'd like to get into more details, if you'd want to know specifics.
I mean, that's a council question, right? So, yeah.
Sure, I'll just lead in. There was some abutters that reached out to, and neighbors in the area that reached out expressing concerns that they felt they weren't properly notified of their options to potentially put an offer on this property. And one would normally think that would be the process. And then furthermore, there's boundary line disputes that were brought up very recently as well that abutters are mentioning they'd like more clarity on, and requested that this be tabled until that can be resolved. I'm just bringing forward what was told to me as late as today. I'm not suggesting any action, just bring forward those concerns that were brought to my office today, and perhaps to some counselors as well. And one of the complications is this property is in the shoreland zoning, and there's more restrictions. It's unbuildable. It's not a lot of record. It was split off illegally historically, and because of the shoreland zoning, there's restrictions that some people want more clarity on as well. That was brought to my attention just today.
Just some follow-up questions. The concerns came from abutters of the property?
Yes, both direct and neighboring.
Did they communicate their I guess, their concerns and or are they like interested in wanting this property or?
They didn't go as far as to state that. They just expressed their concerns about the unanswered questions, particularly about lot boundaries and what can and can't be done with this property, given its restrictions of shoreline zoning and being an illegal lot of record. It's even in question whether trees could be disturbed or cut. That was just brought to me late today. In fact, I was not aware of that. And the abutting neighbors suggested that they wanted more answers on that and the boundary lines. And I'm bringing that forward because that was just brought to me today.
So having said that, like, obviously this is, a city. So, I mean, are they like wanting like testing and like zoning and things of that sort? And then if that's the case, who pays for it?
That's a good question. I think because this was just brought up to the city today, if you're so inclined and would like answers to said questions, tabling would be one option to allow such questions to be asked and or answered, and then for you to discern the next steps.
And sorry to put you on the spot. Do you have any, like, are there recent surveys or how is it shown in our maps? And like, do we have a good sense of the property that we would be selling?
Well, there must be some property line markers there, but one of the neighbors said that one of her markers is missing, so I don't know whether she's just not able to find it. But I'm not aware of a recent survey, but we do have the subdivision plan.
Because, like, I know you had sent me a map.
The
and
subdivision plan.
Yeah, it looks like one of the driveways, like, is over one of the property lines, and I wasn't able to find any easements or anything. I'm just curious.
Right, I'm not aware of any easements, and the aerial photo does look like the abutter to the east has his driveway on this property.
If it's the case that we're looking at potential boundary issues and easement issues associated with driveways and things like that, I think we should table this and find out the actual lines of where this property is, because I don't want someone to purchase this and then have to deal with all the nonsense associated with an easement and they're forced into it because the driveway's in it or something like that. That's not okay. I think
So I'll motion to table until we get these questions answered.
Okay. All those in favor?
Leo was.
Can I make a comment?
You should
Say again?
continue at date certain.
Say it again?
He needs us to continue with a date certain.
Oh, sorry. Table until,
I mean, how quick can we get the? I mean, let's go next meeting perhaps, and then go from there.
we have second on the amendment to the adding.
Can I make a comment first?
What's that?
He might as well.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I have a map, 1955, of one of the original houses on that road, and it shows the lot lines with the measurements as they are in the city. I called 5 surveyors today. Everybody is 2 to 6 months out. So I agree, it's awkward for people to buy a piece of property that is not correctly identified by pins. So I went out there with the metal detector and I found 3 pins. That is not necessarily defined in the lot that we're talking about today, but to do an actual survey, we could absolutely put it off. And the city could do that, and it might be a wise thing to take the profit, if there's profit from the sale after the taxes that are paid and the bills that are paid, to pay for the survey, which is, the prices I got were between $3,000 and $6,000 for a survey. And I'm basing off the tax bill and the bids that are out there, that would pay for that. It does push the process off for 3 to 6 months. And it's kind of a bummer and kind of a thing where you put it up for sale and then, oh no, we're just kidding. But these people on both sides of this property, it's been a vacant lot for a really long time. And nobody had a problem with it because someone's driveway is, I got the pins. I ran the lines today. Their driveway's on somebody else's property, whosever property that may be. Right now, it seems to be the city's property. So it's awkward for everybody involved. But I do think the funds are there to pay for a survey. But I do think that if the city accepted a bid, that person should get right of first refusal. That seems to be a very fair thing if we're gonna push this off. But the maps, all the maps that I can find show that it's the same lengths for the same property divisions back to 1955. So I'm very confused about the whole illegally subdividing, giving off property.
Yeah.
Every map that I can find back to 1955 shows these same boundaries, and I found the pins.
And do you have Claire?
The property was subdivided in 1955, and the first sale of this property was both lots 9 and 10 together. So they were combined, and then in 1971, when shoreland zoning was adopted by the state and incorporated into our zoning ordinance, that required 1 acre per lot. So it was the Barton family that divided that property after shoreland zoning was adopted. So the properties should not, by law, have been divided, because now you have a lot that's not buildable.
Okay. And not buildable by 3 feet.
No, that's not right.
Oh.
No,
It has to be 100 feet of shore front, of road front.
no, the 2 lots, 9 and 10 together, make approximately 1 acre.
Right.
So the lot 9, or I believe it was 9, I'm getting them
Yeah, it's
confused,
the one
but
across
the one-
the street.
No, no. Let me show you the film.
So there's a motion.
Yeah. Well,
And this is
that is the
exactly
purpose
why.
of why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
It's important that we do our due diligence and
All
we
those
get
in
this taken
favor
care of.
of tabling this until the April 6th meeting, 7th meeting?
April 7th. Perfect.
Great.
Seven
Thank you
favor,
very
seven
much.
opposed.
All right. Moving on to ordinance 73, 2026.
Move to adopt. Oh, sorry, Patty.
It's okay. Amend the
it's the last
zoning
one.
ordinance 4.33 chickens.
Move to adopt.
4.33 chick-
Second.
Okay. Okay. A few meetings ago, you had sent an item to the planning board for review. They reviewed, the only thing that you sent them, although they did look at the ordinance in totality, was an option to reduce the lot size from 8,000 to 5,000 square feet. The planning board did review this and had a pretty lengthy discussion. They came back with a majority vote to say no changes they recommended no changes for that. So it is now back in your hands to discuss going forward.
I want to clarify the no changes is they didn't want to do any changes for the ordinance. They want to leave it in its current state.
Correct. Yes. You asked for them to review whether or not for 8,000 to 5,000. They came back and said, no, let's leave it at 8,000. They did not make the recommendation to reduce or were in agreement to reduce the lot size from 8,000 to 5,000 square feet.
So, right, so the way that the ordinance is written is that we would adopt the changes, but there are none. Sorry, there is the one, yeah, okay. So what we have before us is whether to adopt the change from 8,000 to 5,000 or not,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want the 8,000, vote yes.
If you want the what?
The 8,000, no, you
Yes.
vote no. I was trying to be clear.
Correct.
The wording is,
So a no vote would
Makes no
accept the.
Correct.
Right.
so the no is the 8,000.
Recommendation of the planning board
Yeah,
to
perfect.
not change.
Okay, with that, Patty, can we get a roll call?
We don't need one for the first reading.
Oh, first reading, sorry. All those in favor, sorry, thank you.
All those in favor of, oh, okay, of changing the order.
Correct.
Just went in a circle.
I know.
And all those opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, what? I'm sorry.
Change it to the 5,000.
No. No.
Well, unless you vote yes. If you vote yes, then it would change to 5,000. If you vote no, the ordinance stays the same
At the 8,000.
at the 8,000, at the current level.
Yes, to change it to 5,000.
Okay. All right, so we have one yes.
1 to 6,
Six
then.
no's. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you very much, everybody.